Are you ready? This is really exciting. 44th episode of our lovely Early Learning Leaders Australia podcast. And thank you to the lovely Cassandra from Sprouts Consultancy for joining us today. Um, just a bit of background, Cassandra and I have been trying to do this for about 3 years. So this is going to be lots of fun. And I'm sure all our audience out there will love to hear Cassandra's expert advice, wisdom, and just our general chat. So today, Cassandra, thank you so much for joining us. How's things?
Yeah, good. Yeah, busy as ever, and it's been crazy, and I've been loving it. So with all the changes happening everywhere, it's been really nice.
And not only that, you're expecting a baby.
I am expecting a baby. I've got 7 weeks until she's due, so pushing it harder as well with that. But it's been fine.
Not long.
No, but yes, 3 years in the making, right?
Yeah. No, since we met, effectively.
Yeah.
Very exciting times. I'm looking forward to meeting your little new girl coming out in a few weeks. We'll have to do a post-podcast surprise.
It's the baby. Hey.
Yeah, let's meet Cassandra's little girl. Now, look, what we do is we ask our guests their journey into the early learning sector and what brought them to this point. Are you able to share your journey with us?
Yeah, so it started not knowing where it was starting. In high school, didn't know what I want. They pushed this pressure on that you need to know what you want to be when in high school, and I didn't. But I chose for my 9 and 10 subjects child studies and my 11 and 12 family and community studies. And you get given the pretend baby and you take it home and so forth. And, not knowing where I was going with that. And then a few years after school, I chose to go and roll into my diploma into TAFE, and that's where the massive journey came from. But yeah, I think I've always known. While doing my diploma, my prac, I actually got offered a job while doing my practicum. So they obviously saw what my capabilities were, which was quite nice. So I was working at McDonald's as a manager, worked that secure, pretty good paid job to work in childcare to take that opportunity, which then when I finished my diploma, because I was a support worker, when I finished my diploma, I went onto a centre, run the room, then made myself way up just into the centre leader, then which then got exceeding within my A&Rs and moved on to another centre, built that up and so forth. So there's been only a couple of centres, but worked within high and low socioeconomic statuses with various types of educators, but love
Can I take
all
you
my
back
doing.
a moment? You mentioned that you got exceeding. How many years ago was that? And what a journey, to literally do that process and to go exceeding. That's impressive.
Yeah, so it was quite a few years back. I would say probably about 8 years ago, 6 to 8 years ago. It wasn't too far into my journey as a director, so I think I was about a year or so in, and yeah, it was actually pretty amazing. It was a good centre, and we built ourselves way up within that. And I even put up a post the other day of a person I used to work with to say happy birthday and had all our old photos and stuff. And she's like, look how amazing, it was our dream team. And and it was, we were a great team and I loved it. But and I think that's what really got us to an exceeding centre, because we were just loving what we were doing and together. So yeah.
But most certainly it reflects your style as a leader and how you work with your dream team.
So, yeah, absolutely. I just value communication with them and working with them together as a goals. And yeah, we all just were striving for the common thing. And I think, and I know we'll probably talk about later about the quips, but I always use that as a tool because I also was learning that at the same time. So yeah.
No, that's of course, that's that whole national quality framework and all of those changes that came in. And of course, to get that exceeding so early on in that stage and only a new leader, you must have had some some sort of recipe to follow. So we can go into that in a little bit as well. So sorry
Yeah,
to sidetrack you. After
that's
all of
okay.
that,
That's okay. Yeah, no, and then I went to a different centre because I moved locations, became an adult, and started building a house. So, yeah, I went to a new centre, and essentially this centre had no quip and no real strong processes, but that was fine. I just went in and used all the skills that I learned earlier and built them up. And again, I've got team members now that they all talk to each other and are friends outside of work, even though I've left and stuff like that. So, which I also had to do A&R within a few months of starting at that centre. So that was a big process, but we got through it, and the team truly valued A&R actually after that. So it was nice.
okay, good. And can I ask you, with like A&R, we all know that there's that 5-day notice period now, and there's a whole heap of stress around it that usually happens in those lead ups. What what would be your tip about coping with an A&R? You've walked into a centre with 3 months experience, not necessarily good processes, procedures, or things in place. How did you get your team? Is there anything special that stands out in your mind that says do this?
It was more I got them to be a team. They weren't really talking to each other because they were used to being told what to do instead of working it out together. So that was one of the things I did. But ironically, again, I actually used the quip to do it because I had to develop it pretty much from scratch and so forth. I had to learn about the centre to write about the centre. So I had to work with them and understand them. But then while I was doing that, I had got to teach them what a quip was, how to use it, what our focus were for the year, where we're going to do, who's in charge of it. And I was able to use this as a massive tool for them to be together and understand how amazing they actually are and where we're going to go with as a team. And so using that actually was quite really empowering for them. And it was where I noticed how powerful a quip can be with using it with them and just seeing their progress from it.
Yeah. Would you call a quip in a corporate terminology, so out of the sector into corporate world,
Yeah.
would it be your business plan? Your
Yeah.
strategic plan?
It's more of a strategic plan, really, if you want to look in the business world. If I try to talk to people in the business world, I'm like, yeah, it's like a strategic plan where you talk about all your great, strong aspects, but where are you moving forward for the next 5 years? Because I empower people, don't put goals for the next 6 to 12 months, put goals for the next 5 years. What are you doing? Where are you taking this centre? So, yeah, it's more of a strategic plan.
Yeah. No, okay. That's because I know a lot of our approved providers out there are from the corporate world or not necessarily from the early learning sector themselves, and to understand what equipment and impact of it. So that strategic plan is really worthwhile. And like I think you mentioned then, having the people in charge of or responsible for actions
Yeah.
and having that ownership, I figure that's probably a really important thing as well.
Yeah, hit the nail on the head. So, yeah, great question.
Yeah. All right. Now let's actually, now before I finish, is there anything else in your journey that's like you go, I need to share this. I want to get this out there to all those coming through, and something that you can, that you want to share with us.
I think it's just believing yourself and know that you know what you want to do and how you're going to do it, and take all the opportunities by hand. And that's exactly what I did. I took every opportunity, and it directed me to the road that I was meant to be on, and to the destination. So, yeah, I can't complain in that.
Fantastic. Now, look, I know our topic today is your passion, quality improvement plan,
Yeah.
QIP in short. And I suspect you would get lots of SOS from people who need help. Is this a good place to start our discussion, and the challenge around writing it, implementing it, but also achieving what's in there?
Yeah. So the biggest challenge would be them just getting started, to tell you the truth. I would say, yeah, it's a massive document, right? And some write just a few statements because I don't know what to do, and some write giant amount of pages. But the challenge actually is really getting them everyone to sit down and just write it because they don't know what to write or how to write it, and because they're not really getting told why you need to write it. And so everyone, and I was in the exact same boat. When I first started and I got a centre director role, I was put into this role. I was really inspired to take it all on. But when I had to do a quip, I actually had zero idea. Like, no one had taught me. You don't get taught that in uni. You don't get taught that when you take on the role. You don't get that at all. So you literally just get told, here's a quip, you need to write it. You need to update it every 12 months, off you trot. And so I literally, for the first couple of years, just updated every 12 months, but I didn't know what I was updating. Like,
And
no one told
to
me.
be honest, did the person asking you to do it, did they actually understand what they were asking you to do as well? So if you think about the levels above you,
Yeah.
like, did they know?
I don't know. Like, that's a great question, tell you the truth. I probably should ask them, did you know? But yeah, when it was time to crunch, they would do it for me, and like, then I go, oh, that's what you write. But I look back and I'm like, that taught me nothing. Like, actually teach me what I meant to write within it. But yeah, maybe they didn't. Because there wasn't real, even if you look now, it's been out for so many years, there's no real information other than templates, and I hate templates. So there's templates for a quip, but that does nothing. People are like, what are your strengths? And you're like, where do I start?
Yeah. And yeah, there's no supporting documentation to say this is a sample of it. Like, this is what the expectation is. This is where you're aiming for. That whole the scaffolding was what the terms they use, obviously, in
there's just no formula to go by, because if you have a formula and how to write it, to which is what I provide my clients, is a formula, and get them to be inspired using that formula. That's what the key is. But just being thrown to show, and there's nothing to really, no one's the same. So even if you got examples, no one's the same on what they do and how they do it and why they do it. So it's even harder, because you're like, well, I don't do that. That doesn't make sense in my head at the center. So it's a double-edged sword in that sense.
Yeah, no, I hear you, because coming from obviously what we do at one place, when I'm talking to people, I talk to so many services. No one does anything the same. Doesn't matter, even if there's a template, they don't follow it.
Yep, because some things just don't work for them, right?
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, templates in your world, it definitely is needed because it's compliance. Like, when it's like a factual thing. But there's some things that can be moved or worded differently, right? And like you said, everyone does it differently. And that's what it's about. Like, and it's every centre, even if they were on the same street, are different, because they've got different families, different educators, different environments, different setups. So nothing's going to be the same. So why do we expect centres to be the same?
That's right. Absolutely. And I think, is that a square peg round hole sort of thing, isn't it, as well? The way it's, and I get we've got to have a one sort of size fits all, but we don't have to make it the same, the information that goes in there or the things you do. And
no.
This is where you come in, right? This is your consultancy, your assistance in getting that writing of it, the understanding.
Yeah.
And now to be effective in the quip, right? Have you got like a recipe or an ingredients for success? Is there something we can walk through to sort of say, hey, look, guys, this is just start simple. Just
there's quite a few different aspects, and that's what I think that it's a great question, but also is so diverse and big, because it does depend on where someone's at with their quip and their journey. They could be really great at writing, or they've never written one at all. So the formula or ideas on where to start and what to do, it can be quite different, especially the way I deliver. Everything's unique within the way I deliver things. However, my one tips are never do it alone. Many centre leaders think it's their duty to do it because they're being told to do it, but it's not. It's not their duty to complete it, or it's not their duty to write it or to follow it. it's them to overlook it. You're leading the team, you're leading everything. And so it's actually about bringing in all the voices of the centre. So everyone that's involved within the centre, their voices. And I know it's easy said than done because everyone's like, everyone says have all everyone's voices. I know it's easy, but it's literally that. And it's giving ownership to these educators and saying, tell us how amazing we are. What have I forgotten to write about? Empower them to be part of the process so then they understand what's also written within the quip and they know what to expect, because what's written in the quip and what you've written on how amazing you do things and how you do it is what A&R get looked at. So they will take everything you've written and tick it off. So if these educators actually know what's in it, then A&R is an easier process. However, if it's only the centre leader doing it, reading it, being exhausted by it, it means nothing. So the document needs to have meaning behind it, with having everyone, including parents, because they should be like, yeah, this centre's for me. This is what they do and this is how they do it and I want this for me. So, and my child. So yeah, it's a very powerful tool which is why they say everyone's voices.
And it's and really it's like that living document then is what you're saying. So
yeah.
And do you see that as the one biggest I don't really want to say mistake, or the one biggest issue that seems to happen is that the centre leader takes that on and doesn't see that picture of a team effort?
Yeah, and it is common, and I did it when I started my journey as well, and it's because you get told you have to do it, but you don't realise how actually easy it is when you get everyone's ideas. And many people also think, oh, I have to do a survey and so forth, but it's like to get voices, and sometimes it's team meetings, sometimes it's surveys, sometimes it's watching practices, sometimes it's getting them to write it all up, and then you can just change up the wording so it all flows quite well. There are different methods to do it, but I'd always recommend starting off with one quality area at a time, because so you don't mix it, because they all intertwine. So if you start writing it all together, it's too confusing. But if you do one at a time, and it actually becomes easy. So if you're having educators part of quality area 1 and then quality area 2 and then 3, it's a simpler process for everyone to go, this isn't too big, this isn't too hard. And then if you are the one writing it, so it flows in the same way, then it's not a big job at the same time as well. Because like you said, it's a living document. So once it's sort of, when you're like, oh, this is great, I like this document, you're now just tweaking it. So you're not rewriting the whole thing each year. Though I have a client that likes to do that each year because she likes to change the formulas. She's like, I don't like this document anymore and I'm changing it. I'm like, okay.
Brave person.
She does it every time and we just laugh. We're like, okay.
That is classic. Now, with that, like what I'm hearing is that breaking it down to those quality areas, you're better off to have your quality areas like that done in that team effort rather than have a document of 7 quality areas with actually no team inclusion, because it really isn't going to support you. Whereas having it done naturally and with your team, you're going to be more in tune with your A&R. But on top of that, you actually be more in tune with your parents. It's not just about doing a quip, is it? It's actually about the service and that communication and community building. Is that be fair?
Yeah, it's the process behind it, and you're correct where it brings that parent like unity within it as well, and knowing what their thoughts are. So if you say to a parent, like you start doing a quality area and you send out 3 questions, don't do a gazillion questions. No parent's got time for that. Send out 3 questions or so and ask them, but ask powerful questions that they want to give answers to, and say, what made you choose our centre over another? What creates you to come back each and every time? What does your child say about our centre? Getting their actual opinion and voices makes it easier for them, but then you get to learn about these parents and go, oh, I didn't know that's what we were great at, or this is amazing. This is what they don't want us to change, because the worst thing you can do is change a practice that everyone enjoys. But if you don't know that, right?
Yeah, and just because you think no one likes it doesn't actually mean that's the case.
Yeah, you can't just assume things. And we do that. We all play stories in our head, but you can't assume. You have to know the facts. So before changing a practice, which again then comes into your reflection and everything so forth, is make sure that you have a purpose behind the change and it's going to suit majority of the centre.
Yes, and actually what you've just talked about then is that parent survey, that feedback is the communication, right? You're
Yeah,
actually, other than just leaving that in your head, it's on paper. It's actually confirming what you think or what you don't think or what you don't know in a true A&R way. Is that
yeah, correct. And you also then know what does need to be changed as well, because what comes from those surveys as well, like I said, get them to ask their opinion, don't get them statements, is what do we need to improve on? And so you're actually going to ask, what's something you would change in our outdoor environment? Someone will always think of one thing, right? So if you collate that information, you then put that in your goals, and parents are going, hey, listen to us. This is amazing. Don't get me wrong, there's some unrealistic expectations out there and you can't put them in. I get that. Like, we've all been there. But there are all those realistic ones. You can go, oh, I've never thought of that. Or, oh, there's a lot of parents that want that changed or added into our environment. We should start focusing on that. So parents then go, oh, they listen to us. This is amazing. Like, which then brings out word of mouth as well to other families, because then they're going to go, oh, they listen to you. Like, they might ask you some questions if you're there, but they actually action things. They're really good at this centre. Like, and it's a quick snap, and then you don't have to worry about intake and so forth. So, yeah.
yeah. No, that's actually those words of wisdom you've just shared are seriously so important, and I'm hoping that the impact on our audience is there and the way that they can learn from it, because it is about learning from someone who's not only espousing what to do, but you've lived this.
Yeah.
This has been your journey from not having any idea to just following the status quo to going, hey, let's do this better. So
Yeah.
Cass, you've actually done the journey, and your words of wisdom really mean something.
Thank you. And I always do say that to people. It's not, I don't just say I know what I'm doing. Like, I've done it before. I've done the hard yards. I've been there. I have different types of centers, and I understand it's not easy, but with the right tools and the right formulas, it actually is easy, but it just needs to be done. Like, if you don't know what you don't know, right? So, like,
Absolutely.
But once you do, you're like, this is great. Like, this is, but yeah, definitely through my experience. And that's, I feel like, sets me differently. I have that expertise behind me.
Fantastic. Now, are there, actually, I think we've actually answered all our questions.
Have we? Sorry, I like to talk.
Yeah, the benefits of working through the process of writing the quip. We've just like nailed that. Is there anything else that I haven't covered, or that you're thinking, I need to share this, I want to get this out? Is there anything on a quip or that process around A&R that we've not covered?
I think the big one is really just knowing, like where you said, like, what are the benefits? And I would say the biggest benefits, and I think it's said through my words but not directly, it is going to prevent the burnout of the centre. Not just the leader. Yes, it's going to stop the burnout from the leader, because she's not going to be, or he's not going to be writing it all, but it's for the whole centre. When everyone feels empowered, or a sense of connection and togetherness, nobody wants to leave each other, right? But we all have each other's backs. We always want to support each other, but we are supporting one another. And this is what the powerfulness of the quip is, because when you have the common goals, you are a team, and you're not doing it by yourself. Like I said, if you're not going to write it yourself, or you're not going to be implementing all the goals yourself, or following up with everyone going, you need to do this goal, you need to do that goal, that's what creates burnout, because you're constantly in that nagging stage of, okay, we're doing this goal now, we're doing this goal. But if you have someone in charge of a goal and they're taking ownership of the goal, then it reduces your load, or something in your backpack, and you're not going to be bogged down. So I will say, I know it's easy said, but it will prevent the burnout. And I can 100% say it did for me, because if I tried to do everything myself, I would have been very burnt. Don't be wrong, I have been burnt, but I would have been a lot worse.
Yeah, and not able, and actually the what you did was solve your burnout issue, solve that
Correct.
issue of that repetitive, the load, the load that you had, and working out, spread the love, share the love, and then look, and not only that, all of a sudden, rather than being disjointed from your centre leader to your staff, all of us, and they're feeling like we don't know anything, we don't know, we're just thrown at us every day or every month. They're actually part of your family. They're part of that process. So we know or immediately, don't we, that, you know, when you feel part of that process, the ownership changes.
Yeah. You don't want to let someone down, right? Like when you feel connected to your team or people around you, it's even like your own family. You don't want to let your own family down. It's like you don't want to let your work family down because let's be honest, we're really with them a lot more than with our actual blood. So it's like I don't want to let them down. And so when you do feel connected with them, you will perform quite well and everyone is there supporting one another. And if one is down 1 week, because we all have crappy weeks, someone's lifting you back up or just being there with you, being in your moment. And it just reduces your staff turnover too, which is another horrible moment that's happening. Yeah. So just remember,
costly as well. Staff turnover, you know, financially a burden to services. Let alone the admin and the news, you know, the whole process that goes with that. The other thing that I can hear from you talking about this, Cass, is career development.
Yeah.
Giving you options, because you're now managing or owning Sprout's Consultancy, so that gave you that impetus to do something different, but also still be within the sector.
Yeah, and when I do training and so forth, I always say to people, and it's funny, like my values and my mission and vision within Sprout still remains the same of where I started my early childhood career, and it's to make a difference for the children in their lives now and forever. And that's where Sprout still sits. Sprouts, I know we don't work directly with children, but working directly with centre leaders and educators, it actually creates a ripple effect. So if I can create a high quality education and support system for them, they're going to have a ripple effect for the children that they care for. So yeah, even though I work directly with adults, I'm still here making a difference for them because I know their passion is for the children. So it just creates that. So you're correct.
Wow. No, look, it's so powerful. It's absolutely so powerful. Look, what we do, we ask all our guests, looking forward, and I know looking forward for you in the short term is a baby involved, so that's all good. What do you think are the big challenges facing the sector over the next couple of years?
That is a real tough one. I think it's just, and I think I've really targeted as well, where I'm trying to stop it is the stress. People really overthink and are burning themselves out overthinking because they don't have the right tools or thinking they don't have the money and so forth. But, you know, when you invest in someone or something to support you, you're actually going to prevent that. But I do feel, and I think I'm seeing it already, it's people leaving the sector because they're stressed or not feeling supported and so forth. So, yeah, I'm really hoping that does change, and there's a lot more networks out there for them. But, yeah, I think that's just going to continue.
And actually, one of the things you do, Cass, quite well, and I've been part of, is your network meetings, right? So that's the way that managers can join in.
Yeah, correct. And it's not just for managers, it's for people in the sector. So such as yourself, Paula, like if you ever wanted to join, I've got other people that are part of they deliver services as well for the sector. And it's actually to connect everybody because it's not an easy road. It's not, but it is a free networking where I do have guest speakers like yourself, Paula, and it just connects people together. And again, it sort of hits that nail of if you don't know, you don't know. So people that I have on are people that I really want them to go, no, look what they can offer, look what they have, you know, but let's all be there together as well. And it's a safe space for someone to, sometimes it's like you've had a bad week and you just want to feel connected to somebody else to go, yeah, I get it. Yeah. And that's what it's about.
Absolutely. And look, what we'll do is we'll share that link to your network meetings through the podcast afterwards when we've got it all out there, and share all your information, of course, as well.
Perfect.
And make sure anyone who needs some consulting or quip or just advice, they can contact you and
Yeah.
join that network meeting. It's fantastic. I can recommend it. So
Thank you.
it's not a lot of time, but it just gives you some like meeting great people and hearing everyone's stories. Now before we finish up, one of the things we like to ask is about motivational quotes or wise words, as I like to call them. Do you have anything you'd like to share with the audience?
Mine's just have joy in what you're doing. Again, I have another client that doesn't like me saying joy, but I always say joy. It's my word. And I just think you got to love what you're doing. And if you're not, find some, like, not change your career, but find what's the problem and then find the solution, because you should wake up every day and going, yep, this is my day. This is where I'm excited. And yeah, I just think joy.
That's actually lovely because it is about that joy, isn't it? We don't want to go to work and go, oh, I've got to deal with. And just those simple things that you've talked about today could actually make such a difference to someone and provide that joy for them to come into work.
Yeah, absolutely. So looking after yourself and just having joy is just, yeah, two main things.
Wonderful. Look, well, thank you so much, Cass. It's been a wonderful time to spend with you today, and good luck with the baby.
Thank
And
you.
let's meet baby Sprouts.
Yeah, my
Comes
baby
along.
Sprout.
Have a lovely day. Talk to you soon.
Thank you, Paula. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.